Hello, Sagi Joe. So, this is the second of my recordings. I don't know which one's gonna go up first. But I saw this meme, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because I think a lot of this stuff is really contentious. So let's go read it. So this from Feminism is Love. So most men don't understand that you don't have to touch a woman to, you know, rape her. And now men now avoid women at work under a sign we're being punished for hashtag Me Too by Arwa Dawa. And then you have the Green Reaper meme with the marriage, the family unit, the concept of love, and I can't read that. What does that say? Men's desire to interact with women, and it's been killed by feminism. This is kind of tough. This is kind of tough. Reality will always take priority over. No, sorry, perspective will always take over reality. And this is a perspective, and reality is not like that. Uh, I think you can approach the situation without being too aggressive or make people feel uncomfortable. I think that from my experience, you just take the rejection head on and you just leave it at that. You don't bitch about it. You don't you don't yell. You don't cry. You don't whine. Like, well, if you cry, give it a cry, but don't like share it on social media. Don't try to bash whatever. Don't try to call them names for rejecting you. Just accept the rejection as it is. Get the tears that you need to get out of, and that's it. I think that's all that you need. I don't think that it's healthy to think of things this way. But there's a certain truth to it. There is a certain truth. I think that if you if you grow up, it's kind of double edged because I think that the expectations are both an issue. So there's an expectation that men are supposed to approach women, right? And that's how you're supposed to date, whatever, get all that stuff out of the way. But there's also an expectation that you need to be respectful, and then for a lot of women who say, it's also do not approach me. So it's kind of like well shit, what do you want? And I think at the end of the day, what they want is context. If you're at work, it's probably not a good idea. Uh, if you're and I think it's also the level of aggression as well. Don't just stare into them like just like this, all the time. You know what I mean? Like at some point, you gotta have a conversation with them, and you gotta feel it out. Like I think these are just things that you have to learn. You have to know, are they interested? And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not an expert in that stuff, and I've had my fair share of issues like this, right? So, but it's never made me want to stop trying. It's always just changed and evolved my approach. And nowadays, I find that people are more likely to approach you anyway if you're just kind of minding your own business. Um, but at the same time, I will say that, listen, ladies, you want this empowerment, it can't go one way. You're gonna have to also ask, because a lot of guys, um, a lot of guys don't know. We're pretty stupid. We get mixed signals, and we don't know what it is that you want, right? Do you want to smash it, or do you just want me to slap your ass and be on your merry way? And I don't know. I've met some people, myself included, who just like flirting. It's fun. I don't know. It's an ego boost. So I don't know. I don't know. I just know. I just don't know about this, man. Men now avoid. Well, I mean, yeah. If the risk is your whole livelihood, your whole career, I think that it's good to avoid. Just it's the best way to. It's just the best way to ignore all these issues. It's again it's not black and white. I think that there's a level of respect that you need, and this is a level of street smarts that you need to understand. And I think that you slowly learn these things, and I think there can be effective communication. Um, I think maybe exhibiting kind of like creepy behavior is not going to be a very good way, like such as like always constantly staring at them or trying to flirt with them. Like you need to generate an authentic relationship first. I think that you once you're able to get to that, once you are able to generate an authentic relationship where you can communicate with each other and you can communicate that, hey, I'm kind of interested in you. How do you feel? That's all you need to. That's really all the need things that you need to say. But it's 50-50. Um, I think maybe you can say women shouldn't be so butthurt. Sure, but I think that you can also say men shouldn't also be butthurt. Men, you can't expect booty right away. You can't expect some cheek clapping right away. You gotta work on that, man. You gotta earn it. You just gotta earn it. That's how these things are, and you gotta start with an authentic relationship. How do you know you like them anyway? And if they don't want to start an authentic relationship with you, then maybe there's something about you that you need to consider. One, maybe they don't like you, or two, your approach is kind of weird. Give it up and move on. Number two is very important. You always just gotta be able to move on and put these feelings down to bed. I think you social media kind of skews everything to the extremes on both sides, and I think normal people, normal women, there's a normality to it. There's a normalcy to it. There is a mean where I would say most women are pretty reasonable. And in the same vein, I think a lot of men are also pretty reasonable. It's just that some people grow up with very different ideals, and that's totally fine. But you have to be willing to change your ideals sometimes, and that goes both ways. That goes both ways. Men, if you're afraid of any kind of thing that might jeopardize your career, that's fine. That's totally fine. But be cordial. Don't shun people, because that's also gonna get back to HR and stuff like that. Like, don't do that. Just be a normal person. Just be a decent human being, and just do what you got to do. Don't let a woman define your life. In the way that don't let having a girlfriend define your social status and your livelihood. You know what I mean? Don't let that affect your ego. If you happen to find a partner, that's fine, right? But I think that you should be okay being single. And if the right one comes your way, if things work out, if things don't, then you just got to be able to move on. And I think moving on is the hardest part, because it hurts your ego. You don't want to blame yourself, but sometimes it's just not you. What if they weren't ready? What if it's just the wrong timing? What if they already have a partner? Um, what if they got a different job that's out of the country, or out of state, or out of whatever, out of your city? Are you gonna be okay with the LDR? Are you gonna be willing to make the sacrifice to move for her? And I think the last one is she even straight? Because you got that's something I swear I've watched a couple of videos of these people. There's like these random dudes who think that if they bang a woman, they'll all of a sudden like the male penis. I think the whole point of them not being straight is the fact that they kind of want the other stuff, like the same interests that we do, but I think they're okay with the plastic stuff too. That's sort of like on their thing. It's like it doesn't replace the real thing, sure, but they seem to be satisfied. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, but you just gotta accept things the way they are, and you just gotta move on. Moving on to the other part, I think that's a conversation for another day. But sometimes you just can't take things personal. And what I mean by that is, don't blame the person. Try to see it from their point of view. Try to see the context and stuff like that. and try to see if you were really a good fit. Because I think we need to understand like standards. As a society, we're led to believe that you can hit whatever you want, and that's just not the case. Realistically speaking, if you're good looking, you're gonna have a little bit more options. But if you're not as good looking, it's gonna be there's not as much fish, right? So you gotta kind of lower your standards a little bit. You can't be expecting to get to nab a 10 when your looks are a 7 and your personality's a 2. So, and if you want loyalty, it's probably not gonna work either. And 10 out of 10s might not make good partners. So, just gotta keep that in mind. Just be realistic. This is life. It's not a video game. Um, as long as you're alive, life goes on. So I would encourage you guys. There's not much we can do about this movement. The movement's always gonna happen, and there's not much we can do about like how women will feel. And there's not much that I can do to convince you how you should feel. But I will say this: when you're starting out and you're young, uh, don't be don't you don't have to be so combative. You don't always have to be fighting. It's not always about you. Sometimes it's just the way the world is. So I would encourage you guys to just relax a little bit, chill out. Start with a friendship first, because if you build a friendship, build a rapport, you'll find out if you're even compatible. And again, if it's a good friendship, if it's authentic, you can just bring it up, and if it works out, cool. If not, move on. You can still have friendship with someone that rejects you. It won't be the same as before, but I would encourage you guys to always be friendly and always don't think of the world in so negative. Don't take everything so personal. Again, there are different contexts to these things. Anyways, I think I rambled on long enough. 12 stupid minutes of my life. I spawned 12 episodes, so that's all I gotta say. Thank you very much. Later days.